afternoon for the Sports and Entertainment Tourism workshop. This is the one day of the year that I really enjoy because I get to really talk to a lot of our partners and a lot of the people that make our jobs fun and interesting. So I thank you all for being here. We're very proud of our connection with each and every one of you. I know that our CEO Bill Talbert, who's on board, is a big fan of what we do, and we're excited about it. There's a lot of great things that I think you are all going to be excited about in hearing. First of all, I want to thank our sponsors. First one that I want to thank Brian Ply. He's the co-founder and CEO of Gentera Medical, based right here in beautiful Miami-Dade County in Coral Gables, the city beautiful. Gentera is a center of regenerative medicine that has been nimble enough through this very unprecedented time to be able to adapt, and they're going to bring us into the loop with some information on what we all are sadly dealing with. But Brian, the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you so much, Jose, and it's a pleasure to be on today with everyone from the team here. So I know that obviously we're going to be discussing a very hot topic right now. Like I said, people ask me like, "Well, I wish I was selling donuts," but the reality is that it's a necessary service that we're offering. And like Jose said, we're in the regenerative medicine space, so it's not like we've been in the COVID business. And frankly, no one's really been in the COVID business for more than 6 months now, even if you got into it at the beginning. So this came out of a need from our patient and our patient base in terms of providing safe and secured diagnostics for them, given the current environment that we face ourselves with. They had requested, listen, we don't want to be waiting in line. We don't want to be sending our employees to different places and have. So is there a solution that you could offer us and our team that would allow us to do this in the comforts of our office or a location that we designate, and make sure that it's organized, we take care of everyone, and then we have a follow-up protocol in case that anyone gets sick moving forward. I think we saw the ramifications. I think we saw the ramifications of opening up our businesses early. I think everyone assumed that after New York hit that peak and we kind of came out of it unscathed, that there was, okay, then I guess we're over the worst part, and everyone kind of rushed back to open, and not that many businesses kind of took things, were proactive about it. I can tell you the businesses, primarily the restaurants and those in the entertainment that industry that were proactive initially and hired us first, they've had a great result. They had a great plan, and they've been able to get through kind of this with minimal exposure with their staff. Now, of course, there's no way to fully prevent. I think we're seeing the NBA now doing a good job operating in their scenario of the bubble where everybody's playing, but they're getting their people tested every so often. So I think a good, strong testing plan that fits your business model would be recommended. Next. What is the benefit of that? Clearly, we want to minimize, we want to flatten this curve. We want to be able to get over and minimize additional business closures, because there is the other side of the coin, which is the massive economic and social impact, that it has. I mean, look, I have a 10-month-old daughter, so I'm now looking at this from the father's standpoint as well. And every day that I come home, I have to take extra precaution. At this point, I'm actually post-COVID myself, so I have confirmed that I have the antibodies, and I go into the different tests soon. So I have a little bit of peace of mind, but for how long? That's something that no one will be able to to tell you. But I know that when I take my daughter, I mean, she hasn't seen really anybody, so you expose them. It is having an impact, probably, and I think a big impact on kids that are so used to being in social settings, whether it's school or wherever they're at, being taken out of this environment. So the sooner we get good protocols, proactive on testing, I think that's going to really help us get back and minimize the impact as things start. Hopefully, we get back to to opening. Next. Now there's like Sandy had asked, what type of tests do we offer? And I know there's so much noise right now in the market in terms of, well, is it the antibody test? Is it the PCR test? Do you guys do rapid test? there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation. You know, where we saw initially we saw a big influx of tests coming in primarily as it pertains to the rapid tests, where there was a lot of products coming in, you know, from China and from manufacturers that were actually rushing to get into the game to try to benefit financially, but then hadn't gotten their tests vetted. So recently, as about a month ago, I think the FDA took about 27 company tests off the market on the rapid test side, and now you almost need to assure that whatever tests that you're using or whatever company you're working with to test yourself, your team, whatever lab you go to, that these tests are approved under what's called or authorized. And I'll explain the difference between authorized and approved in a second. Is that they're authorized under the emergency use of the FDA. And why is it only an authorization and not an approval? Because it would be physically impossible, given the time frame that COVID has been here, that we would have all of these tests submitted to the FDA at once, and that the FDA would take time to physically approve these. So the FDA kind of dropped the bar and said, in terms of, yes, you have to meet certain safety mechanisms and efficacy mechanisms, and as long as those are met, we will grant you what's called an emergency use authorization. And that will allow you to operate. Now, at any point in time, the FDA can pull that back and then force everyone to get approval, and I'm assuming that in time that will happen. But right now, that EUA is important. And don't confuse EUA with a pending, oh, they have a PEUA. No, make sure it's an emergency. They have the authorization from the FDA. Now, there's three primary, tests that we're offering, and the way we're using them is in the following format. So, the 15-minute, what we've heard as the finger prick or the rapid antibody test, we use that one as a screening tool because it is not considered a diagnostic. How does that work? Very simply, we will, with a little lancet, we will poke your finger. We will then pull some blood with a pipette. We will add it to a cassette, mix it with a reagent, and in about 10 to 15 minutes, we will have an understanding of whether you have one of the two or both antibodies. The two antibodies is the IgM and the IgG, and I'll explain the difference. So the IgM, right? So if you think of the M as in Marines, they're the first people on the field. They need to come, they need to go, they're the first ones that respond to the antigens. And then the IgG are the ones that come later on, and they're the ones that determine the immunity. Now, like I said earlier, for how long, we'll have to see. Next. Now, one of the big questions we're asking is, is my sickness COVID? Everyone right now has any sort of symptom, from a hangnail to a slight, sneeze or cough. Everyone's immediately thinking, oh my God, do I have COVID? I let everyone dictate is symptoms dictate. So clearly the CDC has put out what are the primary symptoms of this. And sometimes because of the testing, we want to make sure that, just because you get a negative, if you're feeling bad, doesn't mean you're going to go back out there, oh, my test is negative and I shouldn't. You still don't want to get anyone else, infected. So right now, the only diagnostic test on the market is the PCR swab. And then now recently, it looks like they're going to be allowing another test that's an antigen test. So it's not done, it's run slightly different, but it's still using a nasal swab. Okay. Now the immune response. So we're seeing the immune responses are the antibodies, as I mentioned earlier. We have two types of those antibody tests. One that we're using post-recovery of COVID, because we do like to see quantitatively and qualitatively how many antibodies or when your body is developed the antibodies, because we do feel that will give you immunity. Like, listen, right now we do know there's some immunity, and I'll make it simple as to why. You've heard about convalescent plasma. People, please donate convalescent plasma, right? If the antibodies wouldn't work, then convalescent plasma wouldn't be a possible treatment option. Same thing. Now, for how long are those antibodies? Time will tell. Right now, it looks like we have at least a few months in our favor. Next. Probably the question I get the most, are these tests reimbursable through insurance? So there's a lot of places that are offering free sites where you don't even have to worry about insurance. And there's a lot of other places that are offering it for free, with insurance. And then there's certain places that will charge you a cash price, but then with the receipt, you could submit it to your insurance and get reimbursed. Right now, all COVID tests should be covered either directly through insurance or you should get reimbursed after you submit. Next. Next. Okay. Now, just highlighting some of the benefits of of the antibody test. The efficacy is very important. You want to make sure you need to have a minimum accuracy of 95% on the antibodies for that to be considered. For the FDA to have even considered you for an EUA. And then on the PCR diagnostic, the most important thing you want to make sure is how fast do I get my results? I'm sure you've heard of places waiting, and that's the downside to some of these free sites is that you may get tested quickly or the same day and for free, but then I've heard of people waiting up to 2 weeks to get the results back. Does that really make sense if you're sick to be, for that, you might as well just quarantine and don't get tested. So the importance of what makes a diagnostic test efficacious is how fast you get the result so that you minimize when could you possibly, come in contact with someone else that, to get it on that front. So I know it's a lot of information and, I didn't have, a lot of time. I could obviously take a lot of questions or as many questions as is warranted later. But I tried to give you as much of the main important information. So when you're out there and you're getting bombarded, kind of what to look for, what to ask for, and hopefully, and most importantly, please stay safe. And if anyone needs any office testing, we are here. You can find us at, we're on Instagram under Gentera Med. That's our handle. Our website is genteramed.com. And then we do have a phone number that you could call in to make an appointment for, for anything, or you could also email us at info@genteramed.com. And that's all.
Ryan, thank you so very much for the information, obviously so incredibly timely right now. But thank you so much for stepping up and being a part of our team. We really do appreciate what you're doing. And
thank you so much.
My pleasure. In the long run, we know it's all going to work out because we live in a great city.
Yes.
Very resilient cities. I kept hearing over the last 24 hours, we are very resilient, and we will definitely be back. Thank you like you and the great folks at genteramed.com. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I also want to thank our other sponsor, the great folks from SoccerX. SoccerX is the world's largest and most prestigious B2B soccer conference that has been coming to Miami. This will be the third year that they come at the end of the year this year. They've been here for 2 years already. I want to thank Joe DeGrossa and Rita Revi for doing what they do to get that event here. There are 3 SoccerX conferences worldwide, one in Asia, one in Europe, and one in this hemisphere. And they chose Miami to be their site for the conference. So we're not surprised. We're very proud of our association with the great folks at SoccerX. Obviously, soccer being a huge part of our life here. We are going to give you more information on SoccerX coming up a little later in the year. But first, before we get started on the sports side of it, I want to thank my 2 colleagues that I work with on a daily basis. And they are the ones that actually run the department. I'm just here because I'm old and they like keeping me around. But I want to thank Matt Ratner, who's our Associate Director of Sports and Entertainment Tourism. Matt's been with us here for about 7 years. And then you have Esther Molina, who's our manager of our department. And she's the one who actually keeps us all doing what we need to do. And I want to thank them both for doing what they do and keeping us on our toes. Matt, if you could go forward a few slides to bring it up to Sandy, who's going to be speaking on film and entertainment. Film and entertainment, obviously, folks, everybody knows the importance of what films do for our image here in Miami. I was born and raised here in Miami, as Sandy was also. And I remember back in the day when Miami Vice went on the air. And this was, I want to say, probably 40 years ago, Sandy, more or less, since Miami Vice was on the air.
That's right.
Yeah, and I remember I was in Europe not too long ago, and people are still referring, when I said from Miami, oh my God, you know the building at the beginning of the shots of Miami Vice, it's got the hole in the middle. And they still talk about that building on Brickell 40 years later. So that's what film can do to a community, and to ours specifically. We're quite easy on the eyes, so we're very glad to be a part of this business, obviously. And Sandy, Can you give us a little bit of an input as to what's been going on lately with filming here in Miami?
Well, we're still have projects coming in. They're mostly commercials currently, because of the larger project of trying to figure out how to do this safely. So that's part of it. Part of it, interestingly, is having local testing that's pretty quick. So it was good to hear from Gentera about that. But we have, actually large scale commercials that have come in. I mean, we're talking $1 million commercials. That's just the spend in Miami-Dade County. So it's been pretty big. We have dialed back a little bit right now because of our numbers have gone up. And the minute the numbers go up, then, we're in the discussion of, we're out of the discussion, but people are still talking about when we, get, as we're seeing, hopefully that we have a downward slide, that we're going to get more production. We've been nonstop in regards to speaking to studios and production companies and still production companies about their projects. So that there's still obviously so much interest. So we're excited that people still want to come here. So. I think you're muted, Jose. Are you?
Not anymore. Not anymore. Thank you. Yeah, sorry about that. I apologize. Sandy, if you could go and explain to the folks how it is that the Miami-Dade Film Commission, your office, works with the CVB, because we have the same end goal, and that's to bring filming to Miami. Why? For many reasons. Obviously, creates jobs. It's incredible. I got involved with you here in film about 2 years ago, and I was not aware of the thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs that are here, permanent jobs in Miami-Dade County that are film related. And it totally blew me away. So we work very closely, as Sandy's going to let everybody know, we work very closely in going to different parts, different film festivals, different trade shows in film to try to lure people to come to Miami and film here. Sandy, could you explain a little bit of that to our folks?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go, let's go to the first slide first, Matt, if you can. Yeah, keep going. I think the one app, there we go, yes. So our partnership with the Greater Miami Convention Visitors Bureau is it's a tight knit with the Office of Film and Entertainment, Miami-Dade County's Office of Film and Entertainment, that we also brand as Film Miami. So our website is filmmiami.org. We're kind of connected at the hip, I must say. I think I speak to Jose and Esther probably more than I speak to any of my bosses or even my staff. So we're in constant contact, I think, on a daily basis. But screen production, the positive impact of screen production, is obviously on hotels and restaurants and attractions when the productions come here, right? So there's definitely positive, but the residual is the main part for, I want to see, for all of your members, and that is that free advertising that when we're seen on the big and the small screen, how invaluable it is. I'm going to tell you a quick story, because you just gave a story, Jose, and that was, I was in Manchester, England for a conference. And this goes back a few years ago. And it's my favorite story of film-induced tourism. So I was at a conference, and at this particular hotel, you had to have a bellhop bring your luggage up. So get in the elevator with the hop, and it was a really slow elevator, and we just start chit-chatting, and he has no idea who I am or where I'm from or whatever. And he starts saying, I'm so excited because I'm going on vacation tomorrow. And I said, where are you going on vacation to? He says, I'm going to Miami. And I said, why Miami? And he said, hold on, and he rolls up his sleeves, and he had tattoos all over his arms, and he said, because we wanted to see where Miami Ink was filmed, and that was it. And then I didn't even tell him who I was, but that is my favorite story when it comes to film-induced tourism. This guy in Manchester who just, and that was a small show. The big shows, obviously all of the shows that go worldwide. So that's just wanted to share that. I also wanted to say huge thanks to GMCVB, because the partnership is, for me, is invaluable. We work so closely together, and there's so much value. They see the value in this industry, and we know it. Next slide. Oh, perfect. So let me just tell you a little bit about the Office of Film and Entertainment for the county side. I work for Miami-Dade County. I work for the mayor. And this is sort of what we do as an office. We are responsible for one shop one-stop permitting for film, video, still photography permits. And that permitting process is not just a signature on a piece of paper. That is a real coordinating effort between, not only between different departments in the county, but also it's coordinating between county and municipal and state and federal entities. So it's a very much a coordinating effort. I have a staff who helps with that. My Dee and Jeannie in my office are amazing. So I always take my hats off to them for making me look good. And then, you know, obviously we're talking about how we collaborate with the Greater Miami Convention Visitors Bureau on our marketing. And we market on a national, local, national, and international, you know, situation for film festivals and events. That's where we were talking about where we go to them, and we travel extensively together, quite often, in normal times, I must say. Because of COVID, we've been dialed back a bunch, but normal times we travel a lot and we travel together. And those are the people we want to get in front of, because that's who's, you know, this is an industry that's very personable. So we definitely, traveling and being there in person is important. Now, of course, it's Zoom meetings, but everybody can't wait to get back to the in-person, you know, events. Another way that we market ourselves as, we have a database of over 1,500 locations in the county that's public and private. And actually a lot of the hotels and a lot of your members actually are you know, have signed on to the site to be able to be part of it. We take those photos are utilized to attract production. So we'll have photo packages that we will make when either we get a script or we get a description of scenes or we get a location list. And we put that, my staff or I would put it together, a photo package, and we send it off. And that's a great way for us to attract production, especially if we can find things that production is looking for.
Yeah, we do it all the time. We just love not being around us.
Sorry, I hear somebody talking.
Yeah, if you're not on mute, folks, please can you mute your mics and let Sandy, we'll let Sandy talk to us.
Thank you. So that's really important for productions to get those photo packages are really an integral part of our marketing efforts. The other thing we do is we try to attract film and television events here to Miami-Dade, for example, like NAPI or Kids Screen. So those are things that are really important, because we know that's heads and beds, and it's also bringing those production, you know, or those industry stakeholders here to Miami-Dade, and they get to see what's here. I mean, you know, that being in person is the best thing. And we talk about later on, we've done fam tours, and, you know, that's really important to bring people to our community so they see what we have in person. Oh, no, I'm not finished yet, Matt. Almost done. The other thing we do is I advocate for film friendly policies, and I also educate for local, state, and state elected officials. So that's part of my job, as well as I also do something that not a lot of other film commissioners do, and I connect industry decision makers with local content creators so that we can bring more projects here for our locals that want to stay here and write Miami-based projects, which of course helps in the residual on the screen if it's a project that actually looks and takes place in Miami. Next screen. There we go. So this is, you know, just so you see that what you're seeing on the screen, you know, so last year, you know, almost 160 million indirect spend. That's no multiplier in there at all. I will tell you that is also very low, and the reason is because we're getting our data from our film and photo permitting system, but there's City of Miami Beach, as well as a lot of municipalities permit themselves. So that's one reason that we don't have all of our numbers. And the other reason we don't have all of our numbers is because a good 30% of production is on private property. So I could tell you right now, that number is way over, you know, at least 50 million more indirect spend into the economy that we can't unfortunately track. I just can tell you because I know that that's happening in the county. Next slide. So this is just a, a quick to understand, we'll talk about hotel room nights first, because, in a year, I don't think we've ever, probably except for this year, probably have ever had less than 10,000 hotel room nights that we record. And again, that's on a limited basis because we're only permitting for, county property, the parks, and county buildings, and 13 municipalities that we permit for. So that's where we're capturing that information. But again, it's much larger than that because of that private property productions that come in and shoot in studios or in a location like a house or otherwise that aren't on public property. As Jose had mentioned, that we have 15,000, or it's really 15,000 plus, cast crew positions that are created every year. And our average wage is $82,746, which I believe the average wage is $46,000 in the state of Florida. So we are the highest. It's not professional. I'm trying to think. Layman wage in the state for any other industry. And also we have over 3,000 production and ancillary companies, the ones that service the industry. Next slide. So, we talked about, the heads and beds. I think we talked about this a little bit. It's free advertising. This is really important. That's why we collaborate with GMCVB, because we understand exactly what the productions are bringing to the table on short term with the heads and beds, as well as the long term on the screen. Next slide. There we go. So, why do we travel to these screen production related events? Some of it I spoke about, but, that's our target audience. When we're going to, whether it be Focus in London or we're going to Sundance, or this is our target audience. They're there. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. You want to, be able to be there. And I probably wasn't the best analogy, but I like fish alive, but anyhow, it's it's our target audience, and that makes it very easy for us. And also, it's developing relationships with our stakeholders. This industry is all about relationships. I've had relationships because I was in the industry for 30 years. So those relationships have still, to this day, still are there. And then you develop new relationships, and then you just have to, keep on top of those relationships. So that's why we go in person to see people. And I think I had said that in-person interaction is really important. That's just the way our industry has been forever. And how, when I'm selling Miami-Dade, I'm talking about our unique locations and our crew, and a very trained crew, I must say, our beautiful light, and the screen friendly establishments like we have, like all of the hotels and all the members of GMCVB. Next slide. So here's this is sort of a list of, our travel related events. Usually we go to Toronto Film Festival and Produced By, and Focus in London, Sundance Film Festival, which has been doing us very well for quite a few years. The Association of Film Commissioners International Week, which is interestingly on a movie lot, and then all the other studios come and meet with us on that particular lot. Tribeca Film Festival, NAB, which is interesting, different film, different kind of conference, but it works really well for for my purposes, and meeting I want to say industry stakeholders there. Real Screen Summit, which is in LA and in New Orleans currently. They have two different conferences, Produced By Los Angeles and NAPI Streaming. Next slide. So these are the local events that we actually, that we have here that puts heads in beds, and some of the bigger ones. Obviously, these are the biggest ones: the NAPI and Kids Screen, and the Miami Film Festival, the Miami Media Film Market, which is put on by Chemical. Patty Arias is on here, so we thank her for that, because that's an amazing event we have locally. And the American Black Film Festival, which is the largest Black film festival in the world. And we're honored to have it hosted in Miami-Dade, actually Miami Beach. Next slide. Here's some other, these are some other festivals. There's Outshine, which we love as well. I think they just said that they were coming online. They're going to be doing virtual, their Outshine Film Festival. These are sort of a lot of the other events we have. Miami Black Film Festival. We have an Urban Film Festival. Cinema Italy, you know, Jewish Film Festival, you name it, we have a film festival for it. And, you know, I try to go as many to as many of those as I can attend. Next slide. So 3 years ago, almost exactly, because I just got a notification on Facebook that said this was 3 years ago, that I had, but it was actually for 3 years. It took myself working with the mayor and Commissioner Sally Hayman to bring forth a local incentive program. I'm not going to go into it, but probably everybody knows that the state had a film incentive program. It was sunsetted in 2016. There's about 40 states that have state incentive programs. The state of Florida does not. So to keep attracting production here on, you know, the larger level, or at least a larger level, or any kind of level, in some ways, for longer form production, we developed an incentive program. And that incentive program, there's 2 tiers to it. And the first tier is the one that was enacted 3 years ago, and that's where there's $1 million spend for a $100,000 grant. You have to, the minimum has to be $1 million spent in Miami-Dade County, and you have to hire a certain amount of residents. Your percentage of local vendors has to be 70%, and that includes, you know, whatever spending in hotels and restaurants and otherwise. And 70% of the production has to be shot in Miami-Dade County. So it's not like, you know, and not say it's not like a Bad Boys that comes in for 2 weeks and leaves and goes and shoots the other amount someplace else. So that's the reason that those caveats are there. Then we added a second tier, and that second tier is about a year old, and that is $500,000 to under $1 million spend in Miami-Dade County, and that is a $50,000 grant at the end. And they have to prove various ways that they have to prove me. It's a lot of paperwork that the productions have to provide to show the spend on local hires as well as locally. So, so the caveats are a little different: less crew, less, but no less when it comes to, it's the only thing that changes is there's less crew, but no less of the amount of vendors, nor how much you have to shoot in Miami-Dade County, which is 70% on both of those. Miami Beach also has an incentive, and theirs is pretty, you know, theirs pretty neat. There's this $25,000 minimum spend for a $10,000 rebate with a minimum of 3 days of filming Miami Beach, and their host hotel must be on Miami Beach. And then there's the new Miami Beach Visitor and Convention Authority Film Grant, and that's a maximum of $50,000 with a minimum spend of $200,000 at Miami Beach, as well as required 250 hotel room nights. So that's just brand new, and we're just getting the marketing out on that right now. North Miami has an incentive, which is up to $15,000 of local expenditures in North Miami, that they'll give back. There's certain different levels there of spend, but that you get up to 15,000 back. And the state of Florida still has a sales exemption program, which is up to 7.5% on certain Florida expenditures. Next slide. So, so far, we have about $40 million of direct spend in the last 3 years from the production that we've attracted because of the program. And you'll see on the screen, you know, the shows that have come here that have either taken advantage or they were attracted here because of the program. Some of them didn't actually make it in the end. Their paperwork didn't fan out, but that didn't mean that they didn't come here because we had an incentive. Next slide. Okay, so yeah, COVID, that lovely thing, COVID-19. You know, it's been an unusual environment in the industry, and the industry now, you know, meaning the film and entertainment industry, wants to have their production safe. So Global Hollywood has been recommending, probably for the last couple of months, sequester and quarantine production. Very similar to what the NBA is doing, which is in the bubble, similar situation. And it's already being done right now. Tyler Perry, I think, he's in the middle of his second show doing this type of this sequester production, and where everybody is in one place. So I think everybody knows about that. But what we've proposed and worked with the GMCVB about is to have a program where hotels become that sequester and quarantine production. And that becomes the main location for not only for housing, but also building your sets at the hotel, in the hotel ballrooms, using all the areas, whether it be restaurants or otherwise, to shoot their productions. And that has actually come to, I think we have another slide, which is practicesafesetsmiami.com. I think next slide, am I right? I am right. So yeah, so over 50 hotels have signed on for this, and it doesn't have to be just hotels. It can be any type of establishment, you know, that might want to also, if it's in close proximity to a hotel, because the Safe Sets, Practice Safe Sets is for hotels, but we're also want to know what businesses want to actually be the backlot for, you know, production. Because if you're not making, you know, a lot of money in what's going on right now, your revenue, location fees is a great way to make some money. And so that's why still what we want to know, if there's any, you know, restaurants that are not in use or limited use, or, you know, whatever, retail or otherwise, we're interested to know that, so that we can let everybody know that those resources are available here. And we're just promoting it as the sequester production, as well as being the backlot for Global Hollywood. Next slide. This is just some of the shows that, you know, fairly, you know, recently, at least the last couple of years, have shot in Miami-Dade County. We know Moonlight, of course, that won an Oscar. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel actually is up for Emmys, and they're up for Emmys for the episode that they shot, the 2 episodes they shot on Miami Beach. So we're excited about that. So I think that's it. Next slide. I think I have one more slide. Oh yeah, so this is just showing for TV commercials and still shoots, the amount of direct spend that comes into a community really quickly. So, you know, a still shoot that's spending $500,000 is probably only shooting for less than a week, and prep maybe a week before that. That's a lot of money just to drop into a community. So that commercials are really a bread and butter for us, and we nurture that that industry very much, and we want them to continue to come here. The next slide. I think I'm close to done. Next slide. Is there one? Maybe that's not, no other slides. So that's my presentation. Have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you very much, Sandy. We really appreciate it. It's funny because we're working on a project right now, and I'll just let everybody know we're working on a project right now for the American Black Film Festival. That's going to be part of their virtual film festival that's coming up on at the end of August. And we just did a shoot of the different sites within Miami that you can use as a film site. And aside from the obvious ones that we've always used, our bread and butter, but the one that really got me, Sandy, and I want to congratulate you, because this is it's the old saying, you turn lemons into lemonade. Well, there's for a lot of folks, there's an old county dump, one of those Mount Trashmore type sites, located in Doral. And it's no longer a working site, so it's just a big old mountain. Sandy, can you let the folks know what that's been used for?
Well, it's been used for car commercials. It's been used for music videos. It's actually been used in some movies. And it's basically, it's a hill that actually has a road that goes up, right? And it can be anywhere because of the way it's positioned. You have a clear horizon of a blue, hopefully blue sky when it's not raining, and puffy clouds. And it looks like it doesn't look at all like Miami at all. So yeah.
The first shot I saw of that, it reminded me of Ireland, to be quite honest with you. And I'm thinking, part of my brain saying this is a dump site in Doral. The other part of my brain saying, my God, this looks just like Ireland. It's a wonderful site. So
on the other side of that site, where there's actually the hills on the other side, you actually can shoot. You can double for Jamaica.
Really?
Yes. So it's a very versatile place. Yes.
There you go. It's Miami being as diverse as Miami can be. So thank you very much, Sandy.
Thank you.
We do have one question, and we're going to hold it till the end. If you can give us about another 20 minutes, Sandy, we're going to hold that one question to the end. We're going to ask all the questions at the end. But thank you very much. Now, the other side of our daily 9 to 5, if you will, is the sports side of it. And in my opinion, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sporting event that any community can host is the World Cup. And we are one of the 17 finalist cities for 2026 with FIFA. We just had our one-on-one with the folks from FIFA about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, filling in a lot of their questions that they had there. Hopefully we'll be coming to Miami to a site visit at hopefully beginning of 2021, and they'll know hopefully by the end of 2021 which cities have been chosen to host. We are very, very confident that we're going to host World Cup here in Miami. Again, beautiful summer business 2026. Matt, can you roll that video that you have set up there? We sent that to. Thanks, Matt. We sent that to FIFA. That was our opening piece, and obviously they loved it. We had a very good meeting with the FIFA folks. Obviously, we're a big event town. We've hosted some of the biggest events in the sporting world. As Bill mentioned earlier this morning, we've hosted a world record 11 Super Bowls here in Miami. The most recent one, obviously, this last February. I think it was the last major worldwide sporting event that was held prior to COVID rearing its ugly head worldwide. So it shows you what an event like this can do for your community. As I said earlier, it's summer business. It's going to be mid-June to mid-July of 2026. We feel very confident as to what, Matt, next slide, as to what we're going to be doing with the World Cup. It's going to be taking over the entire community. We're going to have events in pretty much every major site. Hopefully the thought is that we're going to have a World Cup city, if you will, for all the fans to go to. And that's going to be in downtown Miami. So it's going to be a lot of fun. 5 years from now, 5.5 years from now. So hopefully everything will pan out just right for us, and we'll have beautiful weather and everything will work out just fine. What you see on your screen right now, something that we're extremely proud of. We just put this out about 3 or 4 weeks ago. This was just published. It's the first one of its kind. It's a Greater Miami and the Beaches Sports and Entertainment Venue Guide, and it has all of our venues going anywhere from the professional venues that we have here that we obviously all know: Marlins Park, the Miami Heat Arena, Hard Rock Stadium up in the north end of town in Miami Gardens, the beautiful city of Miami Gardens. And we have all of those, but obviously we also highlight some of the other venues that we have, some of the smaller ones, our university venues going everywhere from Florida Memorial to St. Thomas, Barry, University of Miami, FIU. And then we have a lot of the county parks that are in this venue. So, and when a sports rights holder, if you will, somebody who's going to hold a tournament or something like that, wants to see what we have available in Miami, this is the publication that we will be happy to hand them when we start traveling again to different trade shows. And it highlights all the partners that we have, everything from golf courses to parks to race, the Homestead racetrack down in the beautiful city of Homestead. So not only are we going to have this in a static in a booklet form, which we have in a guide, but we're also going to be putting this online, which makes it a lot easier for everybody, simply because when you have any changes, and you see Matt's brought it up there on the screen, sport event planning in our things to do page. If one of these venues has let's say the Hard Rock Stadium has some incredible new section that it wants to highlight. Well, we're not necessarily going to go out and print another book, obviously, but we can do it here digitally, and we can bring that up to everybody's attention as soon as it's ready. So we're looking forward to working with our different venues on this and keeping them up to date. The beautiful part of it is like Bill Talbert just said, it's going to be done digitally, and it's going to be state of the art and up to date basically on a weekly basis. Matt, next slide, please. Now, obviously, moving forward for this year, it's been. I mean, and we all know it. This year's been. I'm going to call it a challenge, and a challenge is a kind word. I've usually called it something else. But anyway, moving forward, we still have a lot of the events that are coming back next year. And we're very excited at the fact that we are hosting 2 major bowl games this coming football season. We're going to obviously have the Capital One Orange Bowl, which will be played at the end of December at Hard Rock Stadium. But more important than that, we're going to be hosting the national championship, the College Football National Championship, in January of 2021 at Hard Rock Stadium. All systems are go with that. So we're very, very excited to be hosting that. Obviously, some of our mainstays, the Miami Marathon, is scheduled for late January of 21, as the Dixie Vodka 400, which is the race down in Homestead. That is also scheduled to come back in March of 21. Obviously, the Miami Open is one of our major month-long events that happen in the spring, and that obviously has had a great love with with Hard Rock Stadium. And with what the wonderful folks at Hard Rock have done to create a tennis facility in a football stadium. It's been phenomenal. You folks that had any chance to go last year, I guarantee you it was a lot of fun. And I want to congratulate Matt Ratner for landing, especially during this time of year, everything that's going on worldwide. But Matt was able to land the championship for the U.S. Championship for foot golf. Now, you might be wondering, what is foot golf? Foot golf is a sport that is, it's pretty much a new sport. It's basically it's played on a golf course with a soccer ball, and it's a lot of folks that are little past their prime in playing soccer have taken up the sport, and it's because it's one of the fastest growing sports in America. We've landed, it's again summer business. Way to go, Matt. For June of this coming year of 2021, it's going to be played up at the Miami Shores Country Club, and even with everything going on, people still want to come here, which shows me that our future is going to be pretty bright. We're pretty excited about what the future is going to bring to our community. Matt, do you have anything else you want to add on foot golf?
No, you hit the nail on the head there. Foot golf is one of the, like you said, the fastest growing sports. You basically, they put a hole on the side of the actual golf green, and it's the same thing without using a club. You use your feet. It's a social event. We're going to have between 144 to 200 players from throughout the world. The stop before them is in Mexico, so they'll be coming from Mexico to here. And they're looking forward to coming up to Miami and seeing everything we have to offer.
And again, I want to congratulate you and Joe McRae for putting that together with them. It was really, really, really nice to see business signing with Miami during what we're going through right now. But just shows the consistency of our destination and of our great staff that we have at the CVB. Folks, let me go check on your questions here. Sandy, one of the first questions that was asked of you was, are there any plans to build any studios in Miami-Dade County?
I can tell you that it is an ongoing discussion with multiple entities. So, right now, studios in a lot of ways are, in the eyes of the studios themselves, are very attractive to be able to control the COVID situation. So, yes, there are discussions. Is there anything moving forward that I can say concretely? No, but I'll tell you, I have two active discussions about studios.
Awesome. That's great, Sandy. Thank you. How many we do have studios here right now, don't we?
Oh yeah, we do. We have, besides the fact that we have, Viacom and M3 Studios, and you're putting me on the spot about studios, the Viacom Studios, which is actually EUE Screen Gems, those are available currently because Viacom is reorganizing. So I don't know if they're going to re-sign a contract with Viacom. So those are available. There's, as I said, M3. Sometimes Telemundo has studios. We do have studio space, but we really do need more studio space. So if anybody knows of anybody that wants to come, willing to talk to them for sure.
No doubt about it. Thank you, Sandy. Another question was asked, and this is several questions. It's the same one pretty much, but it was asked of a lot of people. How can they join? How can a hotel property join the PracticeSafeSetsMiami.com list? So basically, basically, yeah, you want to go ahead and say it?
Yeah, you can say it. You go because it's your people.
No problem. You can get a hold of me or of Esther Molina at the CVB. We'll be happy to fill you in on how you can do it. It's actually really simple. There's a questionnaire that we would send you. You would fill it in, return it to it's all digital. Fill in the questions, return it to us. And the beauty of it is that say a production company. Let me just give everybody a quick 30 seconds on how it works. A production company wants to come to Miami to film. They need production-only floors. They need a place to park their trucks. They need a place to put all their equipment away, and they need to be near the airport. All right, let's just say those criteria. So we actually on the PracticeSafeSetsMiami.com, you actually have check boxes you can check off of what you need, and you hit enter, and it will give you a list of the hotels that are participating that meet that exact criteria, which is phenomenal because it's really a one-stop shop. You can look at all these hotels, and the list go anywhere from there. Do you provide Wi-Fi? Do you have 24-hour F&B? Do you have F&B specific to the crew? Do you have crew-only elevators? So it can be that specific. And any hotels that want to participate, please, Jose@gmcvb.com, Jose@gmcvb.com. Send me an email, and I'll be happy to send you the information there. And let's see if we have any more questions. If not, okay, there you go. Thank you very much, Matt, for putting that up. Somebody please write down the name of the sport that was just mentioned. Foot golf. Foot golf. That is the sport. It's actually, you can YouTube it for rules and how it's played, but it's actually a lot of fun. It looks like Matt hit a home run on this one. So thank you guys. Anybody else have any questions? I guess we do not. We are pretty much on schedule. Wow, that's pretty cool. Sandy, thank you so much for joining us and giving us an update as to everything that's going on.
Pleasure, as always. Nice
And
seeing everybody and all the participants. It's great.
Like Sandy said, we are joined at the hip. We actually do have the same goal in mind, and that's jobs in Miami-Dade County. We keep shining. We're going to get through this. I promise you that. We're going to be fine. On the other side of this situation we're in, we're going to be fine. I promise you that. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. To the staff at the GMCVB, thank you for all that you guys do behind the scenes to let our partners know exactly what we're doing, what we're up to. So to Matt and to Esther, thank you. We appreciate you being here. Bye-bye.